What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Black and White Bodybuilding, where nothing is black and white except for your hosts. My name is Logan Schultz, and this is Paul Conyu, IFBB Pro, who is having a great time laughing today.
For the record, there is one thing that's black and white, and it's my son.
So how's your last 7 days been, Paul?
It's been a lot of walking.
Yeah, and it looks like it's freaking snowing.
Yeah, that was fucking cool. It was like blowing through my face. Like I was like, oh my god, it's fucking snowing and it's hard and fucking heavy. So that was a pretty cool experience. My boot was kind of like wet. I almost slipped probably like 4 or 5 times, but it's okay. I'm still here. And then I went out and did it again the next morning and started doing the exact same thing. I was like, woohoo, let's do this. So lots of walking and still 25K steps while doing 30 minutes of cardio on the elliptical. And I'm only losing a pound per week, where for most people, they would probably be losing their muscles.
Yeah, that's a lot. I'm doing 15,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
And my cardio has been fluctuating. It goes between 30 minutes and it's at 70 right now. I lost 2 pounds after 2 days of 70. So,
So have you ever heard of the rapid fat loss by Lyle McDonald?
By Lyle McDonald? I don't think so.
Okay. So basically, it's an extreme fat loss approach where essentially you reduce your protein intake. You increase your protein intake to like an insane amount just so it can help you stay satiated throughout the day. And then your carbohydrates are probably like close to 25 to 50.
Okay.
And your fats, non-existent.
Yeah.
So you just do that and you train potentially like twice a week. And all you're doing is just moving, getting like 4 or 5 hours of steps every single day. But maybe you can do it for four days or you can do it for 2 weeks because it's just rapid. But what I did was I kind of was like, oh, this is a pretty interesting approach.
Yeah.
How would this work with somebody on drugs?
So you tried it.
Well, I made it better. So what I'm doing is basically that same approach, but I have more food. And I'm still training multiple times. I think 4 times per week while walking that 25 to 30,000 steps.
Yeah.
But my calories right now for my contest prep is at 2,500.
Okay.
So what's essentially happening because of drugs and lipolytics and whatever is I am literally just recomping, getting leaner by the fucking week. And I'm eating 2,500 calories and I'm 3 weeks out. And I'm
yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like, I mean, the approach doesn't really sound like anything that we don't already do, really, truthfully and honestly. I mean, my calories, yeah, well, okay, so last 7 days. Work sucks. I have a new boss and I'm starting to not like my job. That's not good. Yeah. So but prep is going smoothly. I'm eating more food than last year. I'm doing less cardio than last year. I would argue that I look better than last year. So we're on track to bring a better look. And honestly, I think that that's all my life is right now.
Yeah, me too, dog. And work.
Yeah. So for me, I'm currently at like we had to push down again, right? Like it's been like a push and then kind of relax phase. And then what ends up happening is I push down, my weight comes down, and then my weight stalls or comes up, and then we pull cardio back, add more food in, and then my weight comes down for the next few days. and then it stalls, and then we repeat the process, and that's kind of how it's been happening for me. So versus last year, it was like 2 hours of cardio a day, um, no carbs, like 1,600 calories, like just to get that fat off, right? I will say though that one of the things that I've implemented this year is an actual step count and making sure that it's the same every day, at that 15,000, which is increased from what my baseline was by 2 or 3. So we just are not going the extreme 20,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Fuck that guy who does
Yeah.
it. That guy's a wimp.
Psychopath, dude.
Like, how dare he?
My
I don't
like
know what it.
if I walk too long, my upper
Yeah.
back starts to hurt.
Oh shit. Huh. Yeah. I don't really have a fix for that. I can't think of anything.
Do you deal with that? You don't ever get that, huh?
I don't get shit.
Yeah, my upper back it starts to like hurt.
Mm.
Um,
I think it's mainly because I always like stand like very, very upright. So
mhm.
like when I walk, I'm just like, look at me, king of the world. kind of thing.
Yeah. Are you
So
ever like on your phone while you're walking, or what do
yeah,
you do?
I do my work on my phone because I have
Okay.
my coaching
So
app.
you're looking down.
Yeah, looking down. That's true. Yeah.
That's when mine hurts the worst.
Oh wow. Yeah, I never
Yeah.
noticed it. I never really got any feelings like that.
Huh. Well, good for you. Because I'd
Mm.
much rather do an additional 5,000 steps than 2 sessions of 35 minutes of cardio.
Yeah, dude. Fuck that. Like, I think personally, steps are not fun. I think if you really, you have to like enjoy doing steps. Like, you just got to like, okay, I enjoyed it, but it's also like the mindset.
Yeah.
You got to think about it's like, well, when we were younger, we were fucking walking everywhere. Don't we do that anymore? And that's your question. That's your answer.
Well, my job makes it pretty easy to get a decent amount of steps in.
Mm,
And then I use like if I need to walk, then I use that as kind of like a decompress time or a learning time or stuff
mm.
like that. Like that's what I try to do anyways. Or like a create a content time. Like I'll walk and, record videos and talk and stuff.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like so efficient.
yeah. And also like I need to get a little bit of color. So I just take some Milano tan and go walk shirtless when the sun's out.
You
Um,
forgot to bring the guns out too.
yeah, they got
Ah,
to see them,
nice.
baby. It's all about
Yeah.
it's all.
Okay, ready? Hold on, I gotta move
Let's see
back
it,
for
Paul.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're too big. They're too big, dog.
Gotta take up the entire screen.
Yeah. What's sad is we weigh probably about the same right now. And I'm what? How tall are you?
5'7.5".
Yeah, so I'm 2.5, 3 inches taller than you.
Yeah.
This is bullshit, Paul.
To be honest, I don't understand it either. But I'm just like, I'm like, because if I'm being very honest, like the way that you see me is a little bit different than the way that I see me.
Yeah.
You know, I see myself like, I mean, I know I'm jacked,
Mhm.
but I don't feel like I'm jacked enough.
I mean, I see myself the same way. Like, I know other people are like looking at me like, damn. And I'm
That
like,
guy's fucking massive.
fucking small.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're just like, nah, dude. It's like somebody tells you, like, oh, dude, you're pretty jacked. You're big. I'm like, uh, no, I'm not, but thanks.
I'm getting to the point at the gym where like, at Texas Iron Republic, there's a lot of younger kids there, um, that are in high school or in college and stuff like that. And every time I see them, they're making comments, right? Because they're not really used to seeing guys that are as lean as I am right now, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm getting to the points where I kind of just want to start wearing long sleeve shirts everywhere.
It's not a bad idea.
Like I'm just because you hear like when you're walking through, it's just like, hey, dude, you look good, like peeled, like vascular. Like I'm just like, okay, I get it. Like I get it. This is the 30th time I've heard this in 10 minutes.
So, like, on that topic about like people saying like, or you look peeled or whatever,
Hmm.
I think the one thing that I don't understand when it comes to body fat is people not knowing whether they're fat or not. So it's like people would like, of course we're on social media, so people like ask like weird questions like what's your body fat, or like how do I know my
Yeah.
body fat? And I'm just like, how do you not know if you're fat or not? Or like, well, it's not. It's they want to know the percentage,
Yeah. I don't
but like,
understand the obsession.
yeah, it's a little weird because like, if you want to know if you're fat or not, you look at yourself. Do you look like you're fat? Then you're
Yeah.
fat. And like, if you're lean, do you see veins coming out everywhere? And then yeah,
Yeah.
you're
I
pretty
never
lean.
understood the percentage because it's like, first off, calculating the percentages is extremely difficult to do because you
Mm,
can't take, there's just a lot of fat that you can't take into uh, account for. Sorry, prep brain's starting to,
dude, I've
can't
been
think of the
getting that
words.
like all week.
Yeah.
Like,
Yesterday after cardio, I was talking to somebody and I completely spaced and didn't know what I was saying. And they were
yeah,
like, you need to go home. And I was like, yeah, my blood sugar's low. I was like flushed. I'm sure I was pasty white, like blood
yeah,
sugar definitely dumped. So, um,
that's interesting.
yeah, I'm sure you
Um,
don't deal with that all at all right now.
blood sugar?
Yeah, blood sugar dropping.
You know, you know, no,
Yeah.
I don't. But my carbs are pretty high.
Mine only happens right now post workout. Well, after I train and then do cardio afterwards.
So I think I might be like diabetic or pre-diabetic,
Really?
if I'm being honest. Because I think a few weeks or so back, I did check my blood glucose, my HbA1c through blood work.
Mm-hmm.
It was at a fucking 6.3.
Interesting.
So that's like highly, very
Yeah.
diabetic.
Do you check your fasted blood glucose?
No, no. I don't check it because I think I know what's going on. It's basically a combination of like less sleep
Mm-hmm.
throughout the night. So waking up, blood glucose is kind of like not fully stable when you wake up,
Yep.
when you get like fucking 4 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But then also at the same time, it's what I'm doing for lifestyle too. If it's bad, I just walk everywhere,
Yeah.
you know? So that brings it down a little bit if it was high without anything. So that's why I typically don't find myself going hypo, because I kind of like leverage it out with overall activity levels, and I do cardio every day. And then I have a little good amount of muscle mass, but my blood glucose when I was checking it back in spring, dude, that shit was always high.
Really?
That shit was like always high. It was,
Even
it,
postprandial?
yeah, dog, that shit was always high. Like, so,
You
yeah,
probably have a yeah, I mean that either means you have a pancreas problem or an insulin receptor problem.
yeah,
Um,
but it doesn't make any sense because
you still get
I'm still
pumps?
growing. I'm
No
still getting,
problem?
I get fucking dumbass pumps. Like, well, except for now I don't because I'm flat. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah. If you're
So
still getting pumps, that means you're still getting glycogen into the muscle. I
yeah.
Have you tested your fasted your insulin?
Recently, no, I haven't. I haven't tested that in just yet.
Yeah.
I think post prep, I will be doing that. But I think this week though, I did go hypo once, and I was like, this is kind of new. The only time that this happens if I run Slim and I kind
Yeah.
of forget to eat enough food.
Hmm.
But like not being on Slim and then just going like hypo out of the blue. I have a lot of food, so I'm
Yeah.
just like, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
So but it also makes sense because I'm so fucking lean, so it's possible
Hmm.
because of that.
Well, I mean, in reality, type 1 diabetics can be like onset later in your years, especially like you could have a problem with it, but because of your lifestyle, you've been able to um, mitigate it to some
Uh,
degree.
through lifestyle.
Possibly. Yeah.
The fix for
Possibly.
everything.
Yeah. 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 That's interesting. I've been seeing a lot more lately of people's A1C come back in a diabetic state, but they show no signs of it physically. So they're skinnier people, less body fat. They probably don't consume, they don't consume like enormous amounts of food or copious amounts of like junk and stuff like that. But they're being told they are in that verge of being diabetic.
Hmm.
They're
Well,
pre-diabetic. So
yep, go on.
there's got to be something going on there. And with one of my clients, with one of the people I know, it is a client of mine. I have an inkling that for some reason it's her pancreas and not her insulin receptors.
Okay.
I think she's having some issues with producing insulin, but I don't know that for a fact because she's a great client. I love her to death, but we got to get some things on track before it makes, helping her easier. If that makes sense.
You know, you know what's interesting? When I first started coaching, like the experience you're talking about, your client, I would always get people who just don't follow anything. You know, like
Mhm.
they would pay the cash, but they wouldn't really like follow anything or like take what I said like seriously or
Yeah,
anything like that. And that was very first prep rate frustrating
yeah,
in my first few years of coaching because I was like, I really want to help these people out. They're paying me money,
yeah.
but like they're not following anything and they're still paying me money. So like, okay. But I think that's part of just like your first time like kind of getting into coaching and starting out. A lot of people are not gonna like take you seriously because you haven't produced the results just yet.
I also think that it's there's a price point thing because when you first start getting into coaching, you typically charge a
Mm,
lower price point. And
yeah.
I think that the more serious the athlete, the more serious the person, the more they're willing to pay. Um, versus, I just have found that the more I increase my price point, the better, the higher quality client I get.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I mean, it's the more investment that they're putting in, right? And I mean,
yeah,
I
and then
still don't
nowadays
charge a
like
ton of
they
money, but
yeah, but like nowadays like clients that I have currently, they take it like very, very seriously. They're like very passionate about it. Just like for me,
yeah,
this is where I wanted to be. Where
yeah,
I have clients who are just like just truly just dedicated to just doing
yeah.
what they need to be done. And it's been great. So like but like having that experience where like you have a client that may not like follow things or may do actual stuff here and there,
Hmm.
it's annoying,
It
but
is.
it gets better as you get better over time.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh, the client I'm talking about, I actually see her in person,
Mm,
and so she trains really hard. It's just getting her to do the back end stuff, the eating properly and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, where she saw the newbie gains, and stuff like that, and now she's getting to a point where it's like uh, she's noticing that she's not really progressing as much, and I'm like, well, it's because you're not doing what I have told you to do. And she's like, yeah, I noticed that like I'm sitting here watching you change week to week and you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. And I'm just realizing that I'm not even close to doing everything I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's your
So
sign.
it can be annoying. I think my thing with that is just like it's like you it's like do you I don't want to say do you take what you're paying for seriously? It's more of just like do you want to reach your goals,
Yeah.
you know? Are your goals more important than, other stuff that
Hmm.
you're doing? And if they are more important than other stuff, you do whatever it takes. But if your
Yeah.
goals are not as important, then you're not going to take it seriously. So you can just
Hmm.
fuck around, you
Hmm.
know?
I mean, you could also link that back to having a why for something that you're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah.
When I first take on a client, especially if it's a lifestyle client, I always try to find a why. Why are we doing this? Why do you want to lose weight? Right? Like, what is the deep rooted like feeling here? What are we trying to get to? And I found that typically will help keep them on track a little bit better if we can. But I still much prefer to work with a bodybuilding client or somebody that lives the bodybuilding lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the middle. I actually don't want bodybuilders.
Really?
Yeah. Um, I think it's mainly because like I love to prep bodybuilders, but it's also at the same time it's like when it comes to like coaching, it's a lot of work to put
Mm-hmm.
in. Yes, you'll have to like be a little bit more attentive and like follow everything and stuff like that and be like really important with them. But I think when you have lifestyle clients, it's just much more interesting because you're actually teaching them, you know?
Yeah.
Most bodybuilders already sort of like know what is it that they're doing. They're just there for that
Mm-hmm.
accountability aspect of like, hey man, I just need you to tell me not to be an idiot. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, man, sign me the fuck up. But like when it comes to like just regular people who just have no idea what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
no information, and every time that they try to get information, especially from the internet, it's like fucking weird bullshit kind of information,
Yeah.
and they don't know what to do. So like it's always so fun to kind of like have like a lifestyle client and then just teach them.
Yeah.
I don't know, I like that part the best. That's always fun.
I mean, I've enjoyed some of that as well, and I really like the results that come out of that. Right when they lose, 40 or 50 pounds, and they're moving better, and they're able to play with their kids again, right, and stuff like
Mhm.
that, where you actually make an impact on their life. Whereas with bodybuilders, I mean, you might make an impact on somebody's first time competing, but other than that, you really don't. But I like digging into the nuances of everything
Okay.
and like getting to like I don't know, just like different ways to do drugs or different ways to do nutrition or like learning more about blood work and the deeper dive stuff, and
Yeah.
how things are affected, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's also kind of like I mean that's kind of what I would typically say I would do when I have bodybuilders is to kind of like see like, all right, man, how would we do this in terms of like uh enhancements?
Hmm.
How would this work for you? What can we play around? What do you respond with? Like, what do you do?
Hmm.
One of the most interesting combos, one of the most interesting things I've experimented with recently was it's kind of like a very, pretty basic rudimentary knowledge, but I don't think many people do it. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But if you have somebody who's like high test, right?
Hmm.
And not high test, high estrogen, um, you of course you wouldn't have them. You wouldn't tell them. Okay, let's say there's somebody's online and they're trying to ask a question of like, how do I control my estrogen?
Hmm.
Okay, I would go on Reddit and I will respond to this person in this particular manner where I'll just be like, hey man, if you have a high level of estrogen when you run testosterone, why don't you just keep the testosterone as low as you possibly can handle without estrogen going out of whack? And then you can use, of course, the DHT derivatives to basically, drive up anabolism without
Hmm.
the extra side effects of the testosterone. But what I'm doing now is based on the compound, if it's primo or amassed. If it's primo, I know that for that person with estrogenic issues, it's going to be solved. If the primo has solved the estrogenic issues, then utilizing more tests at that point works. But you only bump up the test when you know the primo is at like a pretty good range where
Hmm.
the test needs to catch up to kind of like help slowly build up estrogen. And then once the test builds up way too much estrogen, then you kind of just bump up the primo. So it
Hmm.
may go up to like that person, maybe like 300 milligrams of testosterone. And they're sort of just like, oh, hey, I'm having estrogen issues. But then their primo would be at like, let's say 200 or something like
Hmm.
that. Okay. let's bump up the primo to 400 and see how that manages, but let's keep the testosterone exactly where it's at. And then if nothing kind of goes too crazy, you just keep bumping up the primo to get to a point where it's basically at its peak dose. Because at the peak dose, it could be like 600 or 800. You're not going to get any estrogenic side effect because the primo will basically negate that entirely. And then once you're in that position, now you can start rolling up the test to kind of catch up to the primo, because you have the primo in the background to basically manage estrogen, and you can slowly start bringing up the test. So that way it comes into like a middle ground where like you may get a little bit of an increase in estrogen a little bit, but that's fine. We still need estrogen for overall protection benefits of like the heart and everything else. And also it kind of works out in a way because like you're kind of just like, it's based on what they need. Like if somebody has, again, high estrogen conversion, you keep it, the DHT is higher.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if assume we're talking about a man, right? In a man, if the estrogen is too high, we're going to start experiencing gynecomastia, puffy, sensitive nipples first.
Yeah.
And if it's too low, though, you're going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
So generally, I find that it's a ratio depending on what your testosterone levels are to what your estrogen are. And also, you could have sexual dysfunction in either ends of the range. I have found that EQ destroys my estrogen.
It does for some people from estrone.
Yep. So by destroys, I mean on 900 milligrams of test, it was 13. At a test level of like 4,700 nanograms per deciliter, it was 13. So by destroys, I mean destroys.
Well, there's your estrogen protection benefit drug, or estrogen reduction in estrogen.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting. That's a huge.
It's a huge.
Dive.
So even when I was on, I in my off seasons, the last couple of off seasons I've done, test, DECA, and EQ, and even on 8 or 900 test, 7 or 8 EQ, 7 or 8 DECA. I still want to say it was below 40. I want to say we're talking like 28 to 32. So even then, with the DECA in, it still wasn't even high.
Oh.
So I'm considering, in the off season, there's a couple of things that I want to try. I want to try maybe test a lower dose of EQ, and then maybe like mint, since it is so estrogenic, but it has it's crazy strong.
Yeah, I put a good amount on meant. It was meant to be.
Yeah. I've never tried it, but considering how much EQ crashes my estrogen, it might be a decent drug. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting combination. Personally, for me, I keep the test super low.
Yeah,
because I'm one of those guys who are like, oh, you got estrogen issues.
yeah.
Whatever, man. Fuck you.
I did as a kid or as a younger guy, but like the older
Yeah.
I've gotten, the less and less I aromatize or the less I deal with it. It's really weird.
I think your body kind of regulates itself
I think so too.
to drugs.
Yeah.
Not that exact same concept, but more from like a psychological perspective, where like when we were younger, like these things affect us psychologically way different. I mean, at least it did for me.
Well, we
Like,
weren't as mature.
yeah, exactly. So as we got older, it was used for quite a period amount of time. Like when people talk about like, oh yeah, when they're on trend, they get like these weird, crazy side effects, and they want to like do all these. I'm just like, why do you feel like that?
Yeah. Trin only messes with my sleep. That's it.
Yeah, that's kind of what it does to me too. It's just like sleep. But it's one of those things where like I choose not to run it until it's like 4 to 6 weeks out.
Yeah.
Mm.
I found that there's a couple of things that I can do to help mitigate the sleep issues. One, dosing it daily,
Okay.
and dosing it in the morning time.
Okay.
I found that dosing it at night, it's much worse for sleep.
Yeah.
And then also I use 5-HTP at night to help with serotonin production, and it seems to help.
I actually just got my hand on Phenibut. Phenibut.
Yep.
It's supposed to help with sleep.
Yep.
It's not helping me because I get fucking 4 hours of sleep and it still doesn't do
Yeah.
shit. You know what's weird, dog? Like like I hear people say like, oh yeah, you need like 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep or like whatever kind of fucking numbers that they decide to
Hmm.
put in their head to say that's what you need. Dude, I get like 4 hours of sleep, maybe 4 hours and 30 minutes to like 5 hours and 30 minutes, and I operate just fine. But when I get more than 7 hours of sleep, I'm just like, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah. So I think that everybody kind of has a different window in that aspect. And I think when you're talking on average, the average population needs 6 to 8 hours of sleep, right?
Yeah.
Because if I get over 8, unless I'm sleep deprived, I'm probably not feeling super great.
Yeah.
Or over 8 or 9, I'm probably not feeling super great. But if I get somewhere in that like 6 to 8 range, that's like quality sleep, then I feel pretty good. Anything underneath that, and I'm exhausted.
Yeah. I like anything underneath that, I'm fucking wired.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to me. I'm just like I'm literally like
There's
people. Oh, gone.
there's got to be something to do with sleep efficiency, or just the way that like genetically, there's got to be something that goes on internally. I don't know. I'd be interested to know
Well,
why that's different.
I think so. Well, now the question to kind of like kind of figure this out: how much deep, how much REM do you get?
Yeah. So see, that's the thing is like, I haven't tested it in a while, but even when I'm in bed, it doesn't matter if I'm in bed like 6 or 9 hours, it's the same.
What's the hour? What's the hours?
Oh, dude, I don't know. I haven't done that in so long. I haven't looked at it.
I usually
Let me,
just use my watch to kind of like track the
I
overall REM.
can't wear my watch at night.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, gotcha.
I used to, but I might be able to. Uh, let's see. The last time I measured my sleep was, it just had data. Oh, there it is. Was the 15th of May. I was in bed for 9 hours and 1 minute. Time of sleep 7 hours 26 minutes. REM sleep 1 hour and 14 minutes. Deep
For 9
sleep
hours.
40 for 7.5 hours of sleep.
Okay.
Deep sleep was 44 minutes.
Okay. So the here's where we might be a little different, but that's just one day, so that's kind of
That's
like
just one
help
day.
much.
Yeah.
Um, I get over an hour and a half of REM every single night.
No matter what.
Yeah. Well, except for recently because I've been
Yeah.
kind of vaping, and that
Mm.
kind of destroys my REM sleep to like
Okay.
52. So I get like so right now the average is like about an hour in
Hmm.
the course of 4 hours to 5 hours of sleep, and my deep sleep is about 1 hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah. So for perspective, I went like based on a month's time,
Mm,
and I measured almost every day during that month actually, because I
mm,
had an Aura ring for a while.
yeah.
So my average REM sleep was an hour and 34 minutes. My average time asleep was 7 hours. So
Okay.
we're getting the same amount of REM. You're just much more efficient at getting it.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause it's always been like this. I
Yeah.
didn't realize it till I guess when I was in Houston and like I finally started using like a watch. That's why I have this on
Uh,
every single day. And I'm like, and Charles was just like, yeah, dude. I get like 30 minutes of like sleep for sleeping like 6 to 8 hours. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's like, how much do you get, Paul? Like an hour and a half to 2 hours for sleeping
That's
5 hours.
crazy. I would
But
be a
that's
lot more productive if I could do that.
well, that's why I wake up so early in the morning. I get
Yeah,
everything done, and it's just like out the way, and I just go to bed
yeah,
like around like late at night. But like it's just fascinating because I was always like wondering. I was like, how are other people sleeping?
yeah, dude. Uh,
So, and even on 4 hours, 5 hours of sleep, I always make progress. So it's like, oh, okay, because your REM's fucking insane.
yeah, because your rim is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So.
I wish I was that person that had like the energy levels that you do. uh, yeah, I probably wouldn't
But
have to take near as many drugs.
I mean, so I never, that's actually very, very true in terms of like stimulants and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Like I usually never like most majority of my life, I never drank coffee,
Yeah,
like barely. So like when I now drink coffee, it like wires me up,
yeah.
but it's like it's just like it's crazy, like just like not even like an entire full cup. It's like maybe like 4 ounce of coffee, just drinking that, and I am good for the entire day. It's like okay, this is
I wonder if you have
this
something going on with your adenosine receptors.
could be. Um,
Just a genetic, like the way you clear adenosine or something like that.
I've never like thought about that, but it'd be something interesting to kind of look up and get
Yeah,
just a little bit more.
that's interesting if there's a genetic mutation that has something to do with adenosine receptor. Um,
Mm,
I
mm,
might look into that later.
yeah, like I mean, I don't know, but like that'd
I
be
don't,
pretty
it's not that
cool.
big of a, it's not that serious to be honest.
Yeah, but I'm sure that like other people are kind of getting just roughly about the same. I don't
Yeah,
know, to be honest.
but like I'm so I don't really like anything that brings me down, like um, because I'm already so calm as it is all the time. So I'm like, I don't really like stuff that brings my energy levels down.
Yeah, huh. I'm like calm literally every single day. I think the
You
trick
just
is
have
just
high
don't be around.
energy though.
Yeah, but like just don't be around people who are just assholes.
Yeah. Well, by calm, I meant like energy level wise.
Oh,
That's
okay,
kind of what
yeah,
I
yeah,
meant. Yeah.
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 So I'm kind of like the same in that aspect. It's just like I'm just pretty chilled energy level wise. I'm not like
Hmm.
bouncing off the walls or anything like that, but it's just like, oh, I have energy. Cool. If I want to use it, cool. But here's the okay. So here's the bad thing. Here is the bad thing about the overall sleep and stuff like that. You know how Charles always like filmed those videos of me sleeping,
Yeah.
where like that just like, oh, we're driving. 2 minutes later, Paul's sleeping. So if I am not thinking, if my brain doesn't have anything to like focus on or like think in general, it
Mhm.
shuts down. And that's by sleeping.
That's funny. I mean, the car is like, puts me to sleep.
Yeah, it does for me
Yeah.
too. Like I'm in there and I'm like, okay, cool, bye.
Hmm.
Passed out in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, dude. 100%.
But like even if I'm not in the car, like if I'm not doing something that doesn't require me to like think or just like have a thought process,
For
you're
sure.
not finding me awake.
I mean, that's fair. I'm very similar in that aspect.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not actively like looking at something or doing something, my brain's not actively working, like I'm probably dozing off.
Yeah. So it's
How is Charles? When was the last time you talked to him?
we can save that for off screen.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. There's a lot
Um,
of
sure. Yeah, we
yeah.
won't even go that route. So,
Yeah.
anyways, did you start working on a routine or no? That's a no.
I worked on my posing.
Okay, that's
So I'm
funny.
I'm trying to get my side chest to look a little bit better. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like a really like a killer shot.
Hmm.
So I just got to get that stuff right. It's a matter of like just bringing the shoulders down and then elevating this one slightly up. That's kind of all I need to, but I don't know what it is that like I sometimes maybe forget, or there's something wrong in terms of like overall mobility. But I think it's just I'm just an idiot and I sometimes forget.
It's habit building. Like it's like you've built a habit of not doing it, and so like now
Yeah.
you have to build a habit of doing it. So I have a hard time hitting my back double the same way every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like um I'm posing with a guy once a week. And he literally made me hit my back double like 20 times the other day.
Jesus. Maybe
After
that's what I
doing legs, my hamstrings were destroyed. I was
yeah.
like, yeah. So, but I think it helped. So it was just like hit the shot, hold. He gives me the cues to fix it, hold, relax, hit the shot, cues, hold, like over and over again.
I might do that tomorrow.
Yeah. Do you
Because
have somebody that poses with you? Well, you can
yes,
look in a mirror for a side chest.
yeah, like yes, no, but like I kind of like bounce around like different coaches, but they're just like people I generally trust. And
Sure.
it's about like two people,
Yeah.
which is the Posen Sensei and Quentin Patterson.
Okay.
Um, Everybody else, I'm just like, cool.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah.
not personable. Bye. um, but I usually have like posing sessions with one of those guys. But Phil has been having me send my videos. Well, he doesn't have me do it, but I send my videos of me doing like my posing
Uh-huh.
in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night. So I'm basically posing 3
3
times
times a
per
day.
day for about 10, 15 minutes a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sending that over to him, and he just tells me, like, Paul, you're doing it wrong. So basically, what I'm trying to do is not have Phil Viz yell at me.
Tell you that you're doing it wrong. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you may just hit the pose, look in the mirror, get into it, hold it for 5 or 6 seconds,
Hmm.
take a break, and just do it over and over and over again until
That's what
that
I'm going to do.
until you start to hit it the same way every time.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I got like 3 weeks. I think the conditioning is there. I mean, I
Yeah.
have 1.5 more weeks just to bring it in, but that's just pulling injectables out, and I just look fucking sick. Um, So I think the only thing that's holding me back is either one, I am not big enough in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of the taller guys that I might go up against who are fully capped out,
Mm-hmm.
um, or I don't have enough conditioning. But I'm pretty conditioned. Probably the most. I'm so conditioned. I don't even see how conditioned I am. That's how conditioned I am.
You're definitely leaner than you've ever been. I just saw, didn't you just post a video today
Yeah, it was like it was one on the story and then one
on your
on the
feed?
page.
I saw it, but I was in the middle of something, so I didn't actually get to look. Um,
Yeah, it's just the back double holds a little bit of water,
yeah,
but the front is good. We just have to spend the next 3 weeks just getting that back double to be thinner.
I think
Sorry,
you
the
could
back to
get,
be thinner.
yeah, you just need that skin to be a little bit thinner through the glutes. You have glute lines, right? Like they're coming in, but I think they can be deeper.
Yeah, I think so
And
too.
that's really the only, yeah. I mean, I get the same way. Like I get really hard from the front, and from the side. Like my side leg looks pretty good.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was looking at your story now. So one of the things that I did that he had me do for my side chest is shift your body towards the judges a little bit. So almost
Uh,
shift your weight a little bit more to that front leg, and it made it
uh,
drastically easier for me to contract that glute.
yeah. Um, I could try that because I sometimes may forget to like,
Hmm.
squeeze the glutes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's kind of do that and then just getting the side chest how it needs to. So here's some examples what I've thought that could work for the side chest that I can kind of like try to like try to like practice. So one way that I've been doing it is basically just set myself up, right? And essentially just hold it there and then just
Mhm.
just bring that there. That's kind of one way I could do it, but then I also have to like make sure I'm like rotating. And then when I
Yep.
rotate, it just has like this big dimension of just overall size and thickness.
Mhm.
Or what I've been doing is just set myself up, bring the arms back, and kind of just like bring it down here, and then just.
Pull up.
But the only issue is this shoulder should be down, and I'm having a hard time getting that down so I could pop this one up.
Well,
That's
you
kind of
don't.
where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, you want that back shoulder to touch higher, but I wouldn't say it should. You should be like leaning,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, we're talking like.
Yeah, that I can never like fucking do that.
So what I do is I drive this hand into this hand.
Okay.
So I almost like push down like this.
Hold on. Posing session, guys. So can you do that again?
Yeah. So when you come in, drive this wrist into this hand. So the arm, this
Okay.
wrist down. So you come and push it down. That way you're creating downward pressure through that shoulder.
Oh, that's what fucking that guy just sent me that. What the fuck is his name?
Yeah, if you're creating downward pressure through that arm and through that shoulder, you're going to automatically drop it a little bit.
Ryan Keem just sent me that exact same
Yeah.
shit.
And it'll bring out more striations in the delt.
So
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna have to practice that. Yeah. So yeah, it's just the side chest and the front relax that are
Mhm.
screwing me up because with the front relax, it's not like even when I do them. One side
Yeah.
is like slightly elevated, so it brings the other side down. So I just got to do those.
My rear relaxes gets like that sometimes.
Yeah, it's so
It's like
annoying.
when I get locked up, my lats get locked up really easily, and then it always throws my rear relaxed off. My right shoulder is always higher, I believe. But
Yeah.
we're doing a little bit better this year. So
Yep. So I got 3 weeks. Every day is posing day.
yeah, my days of I'm gonna have to start training at Leader Fitness a little bit more. So Patrick's gym.
Yeah.
Because the traffic getting to Texas Iron Republic is so bad that it's taking me, like, I'm spending 45 minutes driving there and then 45 minutes driving back. And so it's cutting into my ability to pose
Yeah.
heavily, like heavily, especially when I have to do cardio afterwards. So during the week, especially, I'm going to have to start going over there. They have a posing room anyways at Leader. So
I think the one thing that I missed the most being in spring was not being able to be in Pat's gym. I'm like it looks so dope. It looks so like
yeah,
amazing. Like I would even love to just work there just because like
it's
Pat's
cool.
pretty chill. But like the gym looks so fucking amazing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, man, if I were to, when I get back to the States, I would love to like just be around that Houston area and just literally just fucking train in Pat's gym. Like
It's a great gym. The only thing that I will say that it's missing is it's missing a little bit of the atmosphere,
mm,
like the original Legacy had.
okay.
But I don't really know that that mattered too much for you. Like
Yeah,
I
it
don't really
doesn't
know
matter.
that you were really there during those times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, for me, atmosphere has been always kind of like one of the biggest draws to a gym. But Pat's Gym has good equipment. opposing
Looks
room. They've got
looks
great cardio
dope.
equipment. It looks
Lighting's
dope.
amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
He has a barber that does great work. I actually use the barber. He has a TRT clinic, an IV person, a massage person. He sells his supplements, like,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, he had, before he like opened that up, or before he started working into it, he like told me all about the plan of how he was gonna do that, and I'm just like, it's just so cool to see it like happening, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
that looks so cool. Like I was like, he was like, it was never done before like this. Most gyms don't have this until recently, but I'm just like, dude, that looks amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool, man. So,
Yeah,
all right.
but
Well, let's wrap this up. It's about
yep,
time for me to eat. So,
yep.
another
And we're
episode
good.
recorded. Paul, you have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you later, sir.
Let me, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah, just
I'm just
stop
going
it.
to stop the recording.